What's up, y'all? Thanks for coming back for video number 2, the NFC North. We are going to hit you with the predictions on how I think things are going to play out, which are very contradictory to how ChatGPT thought. We're also going to give you some card buys a little bit later on in the video and potentially even some betting lines. So stick around. All right, let's get right down to it. We are going to pick number 1, take the division, the Chicago Bears. The Bears at 12-5. You got Caleb Williams, short up the offensive line a little bit, and he's coming into his sophomore season, but he has Ben Johnson now.
It's Ben Johnson, the coach of the Bears.
Ben Johnson has more weapons than he ever had in Detroit. And Detroit was great. I mean, they had an explosive season in 03-04. But now you have the likes of Rome Odunze, DJ Moore, Luther Burden III, Cole Kmet, and Colson Loveland. Colson Loveland's a wild card. Don't get me wrong. They do have DeAndre Swift, but I'm not thinking their run game is going to be that good. And the defense, it'll be fine. It's not going to win in many games, right? Maybe it will, but against a trash team. When you put Ben Johnson and all those weapons together, you got something cooking. You got 5 real deal playmakers and more than Detroit had. Now, like I said, the weak link, DeAndre Swift. Really inconsistent between the tackles. So I'm going to look for Chicago to lean really heavy on passes, especially early on. Loveland could be a wild card. He was picked 10th overall. He had 101 receptions, 1,231 receiving yards at 12.4 yards per reception, 9 touchdowns in Michigan at the 2 years at Michigan. He forced 18 missed tackles and averaged 3.9 yak. He had pretty inconsistent quarterback play. So if you add a little bit of consistent quarterback play and you have that two-headed monster of Colston and Kmet, it's not a bad little thing. And Ben Johnson really hasn't had 2 tight ends to play with. So it's pretty interesting to see what's going to happen here. I'm thinking Caleb could finish top 5 fantasy quarterback, and his cards could have a breakout in 2025. But let's see. Yeah, I know these are some pretty crazy, controversial takes, but let me know down below. If you haven't already, please like, subscribe, comment. Tell me how crazy I am, or if you agree with me, who you're a fan of. Let's just have that engaging conversation. I'm really trying to grow the channel, and every single comment and every single like and sub really, really does help give back to the hobby. Thanks. Now we're into the the Minnesota Vikings. I think they're going to come in numbers 2 in the division at 9-8. They shipped off Sam Darnold to Seattle, and he got them to where they were last year until he crapped himself in the playoffs. Let's be honest, right? You're going to enter J.J. McCarthy's first actual and rookie season after an Achilles tear, which he did in his 20s. So hopefully he had a full recovery pretty quickly. I mean, I did it in my 30s. You just saw Tatum go down, Dave Limerick go down, Damian Lillard, Tyrese Halliburton, all those guys, little bit, upper 20s, mid 30s. It's got to be the shoes. But J.J. McCarthy in Michigan, he started 28 games. In 2023, he led his team to a national championship, starting all 15. His college stats included almost 3,000 passing yards, which isn't a lot, but 2,991 passing yards, 22 touchdowns, 72.3% completion percentage in 2023. Small sample size, right? On a team that was extremely run first, run heavy, relied on defense to win games. Add Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison to the mix, which arguably could be the best tandem in football. I mean, if you think about it, really, you're looking at Chase and Higgins, you're looking at now Lamb and Pickens, not too many other dynamic duos, we'll say. And those guys are true 1A, 1B weapons, and they can take the top off the work underneath. Aaron Jones, still a legit running back 1 that can catch the ball out of the backfield. He's coming off an 1,138 rushing yard season with 51 catches, 408 receiving yards, 306 total touches. And he's ranked by his peers this year at number 8, 98 out of the top 100 players. They also brought in Ty Felton, burner, right? They got him in at pick 102. Elite speed at 4.37 40. Crisp route runner, vertical slot option. So now you got 3 guys that can just stretch the field. I think that pairs beautifully with the play action that can run, especially in Kevin O'Connell's system. And, if the run game gets going, this offense has the spacing and personnel to become explosive off play action. Defense is still retooling a little bit, but the offensive ceiling is quietly high. So I think the Vikings come in at 9-8. All right, next up, we got the Packers. The Wisconsin Packers, the Cheeseheads, 9-8, and it's going to be mostly due to their defense, I think. Jordan Love takes another step in year 3. Chemistry with Watson and Dobbs continues to grow, but don't forget Jaden Reed, right, who could be the best of the 3. Last year, Love had lower body injuries for the good portion of the earliest part of the season, and then it seemed like every time one of his receivers went down, another one would come back, and then another one would go down, and another one would come back. I mean, he only played a couple of games last season with all of his weapons. So they brought in Matthew Golden with the 23rd pick, which is kind of funny because it's the first time in 23 years that the Packers selected a wide receiver in the first round, which the last time was Javon Walker. They also brought in third-round pick Jameson Williams out of TCU. He is a massive receiver. Can't believe he actually fell that far. He's 6'4", 220 pounds. He ran a 4.48 40, which is no slouch for a man that big. In 52 games at TCU, Williams had 137 receptions for 1,655 yards, 14 tutties, and he also rushed 62 times for over 384 yards and 6 tutties himself. So big body Debo, maybe? I don't know. Like I said, the defense is kind of sus. They brought in a ton of front line help, but I really just think their consistency is not going to be that big for this year, maybe next year. And it's a LaFleur thing. They always give up bombs over the top when you cannot give up bombs over the top and lose games that they shouldn't lose. They'll win some, certainly, but I think the depth and the division tiebreakers are going to kill them this year. So third at 9-8 in the division. All right. Now, lastly, the Detroit Lions, and I got them coming in at 6-11. I love what Dan Campbell has done in Detroit. I think it's amazing. I love rooting for them. The underdog story is fantastic, but I just think they're going to have a big step back this year, mostly due in part of the biggest losses of Ben Johnson. Without him, Goff's production drops. The offense loses some creativity. They also lost their D-line coach, Williams, to the Patriots. So there's big coaching turnovers. And not that their defense has ever been a strong point, but it is nice to have some consistency on defense, and they're losing that. They also lost Carlton Davis III, who some Detroit fans might not love, or some might love it. You know what I mean? But they loaded up a lot with a lot of defensive signings, but their defense has never really been their strong suit. They have Aiden Hutchinson coming back, which is huge, but he'll be double teamed every single time unless they can establish another pass rush. They also drafted Tyleik Williams out of Ohio State for the 28th overall pick and are attempting to tighten up the O-line by bringing in Ratledge out of UGA and Frazier out of LSU. Clearly, they're trying to give Goff more time to throw downfield to Brown, Williams, and Laporta. It also looks like they could be trying to tighten up the middle of the field as well to have more of a ground and pound kind of run game. Cold reality here, I think the run game's going to stall with the rookie guards. Goff's going to turn the ball over a little bit more, and the magic of 2023 fades. Unfortunately, 6-11 is where they're going to land, and bottom of the barrel in the division, missing the playoffs this year, which is kind of sad in my opinion. All right, so a really quick recap. I think the Bears are going to win the division behind Caleb and just a nasty aerial attack and Ben Johnson's creativity. I think the Vikings hang in tight behind J.J. McCarthy, a very underrated J.J. McCarthy in my opinion, and Aaron Jones, two-headed monster, kind of balanced offense. I think the Packers miss on the tiebreakers despite solid growth, and I think the Lions regress hard without their play calling genius. Now, how will this all play out in the card market, right? So here's some cards I think you might want to pay attention to. So Caleb Williams, obviously everyone's hyped on him, but right now you might want to wait unless you want to kind of pay a pretty penny. He's on the uptick. His Prism Silver is going to run you 105-ish. And that's as of today, July 3rd on Market Movers. A PSA 10 is going to run you around 660, but you got to watch that pop report. Right now, a PSA 10, the pop report is 310 for that Solar Prism, but the PSA 9 is 1050. That is a huge disparity due to quality issues. I think a better buy for that right now, if you want to flip or hold, would be an Optic Holo. You can grab those raw at around 29. PSA 10 comes in near 280 with a pop of 10, and a PSA 9s have a pop 22, and you can grab those for around 50. So a 2-to-1 ratio from a 9 to 10 is much better than a 3.5 to 1. Roma Dunze, wide receiver 1 vibes coming, man. The silvers and the low number cards are fire. You can grab a silver prism for him for under 10, and a PSA 10 is going to run you about 100. Again, the Optic Holo goes for $3 raw right now, and there's been no PSA 10s for sale yet. Obviously, Luther Burden III and Matthew Golden NCAA autos, those are going to run you a pretty penny, but you can grade those and flip those at least 2x your ROI, especially if they start to pop off early in the season. Colston Loveland's an interesting one because he's a tight end sleeper for the class, long hold with a lead upside. Right now, his Select XRC Prism is down to $63, but there have been 69 sales in the last 30 days. So if you're going to grab him now. Again, as always, Jordan Love, buy him now. His pretty middle of the run market for his rookie cards. If you think he's going to get a 4-1 start, buy him now, sell him quick. But if not, he's a hold. J.J. McCarthy, quiet card riser. Smart collectors are going to stash him. He's seeing a ton of cards graded right now. You can still get him somewhat somewhat cheap, but take a look at Market Movers or Card Ladder to get like a better idea. 130 points also another way. All right, now for some really crazy betting lines. Currently, the Bears are plus 150 according to DraftKings Sportsbook. The line did move because Ben Johnson was hired, but people are still a little speculative there. The Vikings and Packers are both kind of floating. So the Vikings are at plus 115 and the Packers are at minus 135. And the Lions are down to minus 230. This is completely opposite of kind of my predictions here, but I did take all of the whole schedule. I ran through the entire schedule and picked who I thought was going to win based on a myriad of things, coaching hires, player movement, draft capital, things like that. So I think this is way different from what I predict. And my predictions, I am not Nostradamus. I am not a professional. It's just kind of my gut feeling, which could be completely wrong, but let me know below. I do think at plus 150, the Bears are a pretty good bet. I think the Lions at minus 230, I just don't see their defense holding up. And the loss of coaches, I'm just not sure about that. Vikings and Packers, kind of similar to the AFC North with the Steelers and the Bengals. Like those records, who makes the playoffs out of that could absolutely change based on just a couple of things. And this is also taking into consideration that no one gets hurt, right? But I think the Lions, I wouldn't touch that right now. But I think the other three, not terrible buys if you're talking about just a little bit of money to see what happens, But let me know in the comments below what you think. It's probably wrong, but let's see. All in all, I thank y'all for being along for the ride. It's kind of fun to do these predictions. I love football. I will watch every single game. I don't care who it is, just to make sure that I, keep up on things. And I just think it's an exciting sport. I love doing these predictions. I love playing fantasy football. I love doing DraftKings Sportsbook and, daily fantasy. I think it's so much fun. But let me know in the comments below. If you haven't already, please like, subscribe, comment. Let's have an engaging conversation. I could absolutely 100% be wrong. So, buy these cards and bet on these games at your own risk. But I do think that those card buys are probably a better bet than my predictions as far as the division goes. But who knows? Let me know.